I have way too much camera equipment, most of it I don't even use, so I've been on a selling spree lately. I've already sold a few things, including some lenses, but when I found these two sitting on a shelf in the closet, they made me pause. These are the size 16 to 70mm f4 and the Sony A7Rii to 350mm f4.5 to 6.3. I made so many good images with these two lenses back in the day, but I haven't touched them in a while. So to decide whether I love them or I list them, I'm gonna take them both out to Lake Michigan to shoot some amazing winter scenes and see if they can still perform. Let's do it. Shooting with these two little guys brought back some memories. These lenses are from a different era, back when I shot with aps-c cameras. Those behind me are quite literally ice dunes, and I got to photograph them a very long time ago. I want to say 2018. That was one of the best days of photography I've ever had, and I know that I say that often because I'm very lucky that I witnessed incredible things. Anyway, the conditions today are not even close. As you can see, it's actually pretty warm. This hat and this coat is kind of a little bit too much. You can tell I just brought them back from retirement. The barrels show some wear, the markings are fading, but the glass is what matters, and the glass on these lenses is in excellent condition even after all these years of heavy use. It's not just nostalgia keeping me from selling them though. They are also screaming just in case. In the last few months I've transitioned to shooting with two very big full-frame lenses, and after getting rid of some of my primes, I don't have a lighter kit anymore. I do have the compact camera, but this is more of an everyday camera, not well suited for the bad conditions I like to shoot in. I mean, look at how small they are. They are tiny. I can fit them in my coat pockets, even the telephoto. And that can make a big difference in the field, especially when you are also carrying a tripod and a video camera and need to go down some ladders or walk on icy ground. Now, there's a reason they are so small. They are aps-c lenses, which means they don't fully cover the sensor on my full-frame camera. They come with a crop. They still work great on my Sony A7R IV though. Instead of 61 megapixel files, I get 26, which is still plenty of pixels. It's true that I can't crop and play with those files in post as much as I can with the full-frame ones, but it may be a worthy trade-off when you consider the size and the weight difference. This setup proved very useful in the field. Between the two of them, I have a focal length range of 24 to 525 millimeters in full frame equivalent, and that at a combined weight of 930 grams or just 2 pounds is insane. I mean, this Tamron 35 to 150 alone is heavier than that, and it covers only a fraction of that range. But while I enjoyed having those 24 millimeters on the wide side, I did miss the extra reach that I get with my main setup. Because this is an aps-c lens, I can't crop any farther in camera, so I found myself switching to the telephoto lens very often. And this is something that I try to avoid as much as possible because, well, it slows me down, but it's also a risky move in some situations. Obviously, there have to be some downsides to being so small, right? And yes, of course, there are. Besides the smaller files that don't allow for much cropping, and that's already a big deal for me, these lenses are also slower than their full-frame counterparts. Especially the size, because f4 can be challenging in low light, and when it comes to depth of field, it behaves more like a 5.6 lens on a full-frame camera. The thing is that even wide open at f4, that's not enough to blur the fence here in the foreground, which I think will have helped a little bit with this photo. That is the downside of using such a slow aps-c lens. Look at the difference between f4 on crop mode and f2.8 on a full frame sensor. The 70-350 though has very similar aperture values to my full frame ones, so what's the point of carrying this big heavy lens around when I could just use this one? Well, the extra reach that I get with this one, because I can put it in aps-c mode and get all the way to 750 millimeters equivalent in full frame. And that is significantly more than this one. But honestly, that's about it. When it comes to image quality, the files look great. I edited them the way I normally would, and they held up just fine. We are going through an extremely early spring moment, so we have the always amazing combination of snow, ice and mud. Not the best conditions on the ground. Overall, I enjoyed using these two lenses again quite a lot, even more than back in the day, because now I do it on a full frame body, which I like more because it's bigger, has a better grip, and has a much nicer viewfinder. I much prefer these bodies than the ones Sony offers for their aps-c line. It was a nice change to have lighter gear that doesn't punish my back as much while still delivering very good performance. Smaller size also means more unassuming, so I should have a much easier time going to sketchy places or photographing in public. I'm not saying that Michigan City is sketchy at all, but when you're shooting buildings, businesses, vehicles on the street and whatnot, smaller is definitely better. So, am I going to love them or am I going to list them? Oh, the wilderness. After this trip to Lake Michigan and seeing the results, the answer would be a resounding love them, if my situation wasn't as complicated as it is. You see, downsizing is probably more important to me than it is for most of you. I don't have a permanent home. I split my time between here, the US, and Spain, which means that I'm traveling between two continents at least once a year. This size lens had been sitting on a shelf here in Indiana for 6 years. So if I decide it deserves a spot in my regular kit, it will have to come with me to Spain and then back here to the US. I don't have a lot of space in my camera bag, so I can only afford so many just-in-case lenses. For now, I think I'll love them. Whether they'll make it to Spain and back here again is something to be seen. But I have a feeling that they could be very useful lenses down the road. I'd love to hear from you though. Do you have a lighter kit that you use in certain situations? And if that's the case, what is it? Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. The things you find in the woods. There are some trail cameras over there too. Good thing I didn't go pee over there.